Hello everyone, this is Yona. Hi baby, come say hi. And you can call me Roro. And a few years ago, as any responsible 22-year-old does, we got a dog. The obvious choice was to name her Yona from my favorite anime, Yona of the Dawn. And when we first got Yona, she was about 5 months old, and she was honestly a fairly sick puppy. I have a few theories as to why she kept getting sick. And my main reason is that she was a rescue from the south and she just wasn't quite ready for the northern atmosphere. Something we had to start doing anyways was giving her a bath once a week for her acne. Now that she's older, she still gets frequent baths, but not as much as she used to, but at least once a month, sometimes more depending. Part of this is because she's a very active dog. We go swimming, hiking, doggy daycare, parks, festivals, anything you can think of, we do it. So basically, I have a pretty dirty dog, and although I love her, I don't want to cuddle like a gross dog. So if you are interested in seeing Yona's everything shower, please let me know in the comments. However, today we are not doing Yona's everything shower. We are going to be doing her iconic look. Pink hair. I'm in a bit of a rush, and it has to be done today since tomorrow is the Ren Fair. We actually originally started doing this because we took her to the Ren Fair, and then a few weeks later it was Halloween, so it was just like killing two birds with one stone. And since we started doing it, anytime it grows out, everyone in the neighborhood is always asking, "Where's Yona's pink hair?" So I like to try and freshen it up throughout the year. Before I get into it, I'd like to show you what you need. First things first is gloves. Disposable gloves would probably work better, but I just hate all the waste of using disposable items, so I really try to just use reusable products. These are just kind of reusable kitchen gloves. They're specifically for dyeing her hair. So if you plan on doing it often, honestly, just invest in one of these. Hair dye of your choice. I keep it in a bag just because I don't want leaking. This is Adorable Pink by Opaz. They have a ton of other colors. This is the permanent hair dye color. I like to freshen it up every few weeks. It is supposed to last like 20 washes or so. I would say that's pretty accurate. It's kind of hard to tell because she's been swimming lately, but I do think that they last a fairly long time. That being said, I am planning at some point maybe changing up the type of dye that I use. I have noticed that as Yona has gotten older, her ears definitely have gotten darker, so they don't take as well as they used to when they were a puppy. So I'm thinking about trying out a few different brands, seeing if I can maybe fix that problem with a different sort of hair dye. But overall, I really like Opaz. I've used a few other ones, but I always come back to Adorable Pink and Opaz. Sponsor me. Next thing, if you don't have one, you should get one of these in general. This is just a comb. There's two sides of teeth on this one at least. These are closer together. These are a little further together. It's literally missing a needle. This is not my good one, so I've dedicated this specifically to dyeing hair, and that's probably for the best anyways, because you can even see some pink on there, I think, kind of like right there. So use a comb, preferably one that you don't care about. Slicker brush. We have all sorts of slicker brushes at my house. This is my favorite one I like to use for Yona. I'm kind of doing her like brushing all over. As you can see, it's fairly long. It doesn't have beads on the end, and this is my favorite part. So I can get all that extra fur off when it collects. And I think as an added bonus, it kind of keeps this part of the canvas down. A lot of people may or may not have experienced this from brushing even their own hair. This canvas part that the like needles are in will oftentimes slowly start to pull up. A shampoo of your choice. This is not the one I'm actually going to be using for her shower. This is just kind of what I had left over. My mom gave it to me, I think. I'll use this sometimes, but it's not the one I'm actually going to be using today, so don't focus too heavily on this. A water bottle or dilution bottle. Dilution bottles are actually probably better, but we're doing this from home, and this is something that everyone realistically has and can use. Basically, what we're going to do is be filling it with the majority of water up to here, and then in an ideal world, You will be filling the rest up with soap. This is how it works best for us. So I'm just going to show you guys how I'm going to use it. Finally, a blow dryer. This is a dog blow dryer. It is considered high velocity. So not all do, but some have a heat settings and then like a dial right here. So you can control how fast the air is coming out of it. We don't really like to mess with the heating button too much, and we want to keep that off. So keep your heat button off, and then the dial, you're going to see how your dog reacts. Use it accordingly. But a blow dryer is very much worth it. This one's not even an expensive one. This is a $50 one. A lot of groomers will have like really nice ones, so it's always worth it to bring your dog to a grooming shop. But for at-home use, a $50 cheap one is perfect. If you have a dog with short hair, you would probably be fine without one, but I can't highly recommend one enough if you have a dog that has longer hair like Yona does or sheds a lot. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into it. Good girl. Look over here. Look you. Good girl. So I'm gonna probably switch over to voiceover soon. Oops, sorry, love. Hi. Do you want to sit? Do you want to sit down? Yeah. Okay. So this is so bougie and completely unnecessary step for anyone else to do, but I always start out by putting her towel in the warmer. She actually has her own special towel, but it's currently being washed, so she's gonna have to deal with using a human towel. By now, Yona knows the drill. While I'm setting up, she will typically lay down and get a quick rest in, and I'm gonna start with her ears. As I've mentioned, they don't take as well to the color, so I start with them just to give them a little extra time to soak in. I start by just getting a bunch of dye on there. Once I feel as though I've covered it as best as I can with just my hands, I start combing it through. I made the mistake of not brushing out her ears before dyeing today. Make sure to brush out your dog frequently in general, but especially right before you dye them. Her ears need to be brushed every few days, otherwise they get pretty tangled. I brushed them yesterday, but she had a play date after, so they got all knotty again. If you're caught in this situation like I am, work your way up or hold off right above the knot you're working on. I'm very fortunate Yona doesn't absolutely hate brushing. We do regular spa days, so she's pretty desensitized to it. That being said, some dogs just hate certain grooming aspects. For example, Yona hates her nails clipped. She's never had a negative experience and gets plenty of treats during it. Sometimes your dogs won't like something. We just have to work together to come up with a solution. Dye can get pretty messy, even when Yona is just lying down. Try your best to clean up as you go to prevent hair dye spots around your bathroom. I sometimes put a bag or cling wrap over her ears and eyebrows. but the dye gets on her cheeks from being pressed down, and I like to try and minimize where the pink shows up on her coat. Sorry. Okay, it's been about 5-ish minutes. Normally I wait 20, but as she's gotten older, her hair actually has gotten like darker. When I first started doing this, her eyebrows were almost like completely white, and then her ears were almost complete white as well. So that's why I'm able to dye her without using any sort of lightener. But as she's gotten older, because of that, her ears and eyebrows have just gotten darker. Her eyebrows less than her ears, so her ears tend to not take color as well. And as you see, I'm sure I could be doing it better. I, brush through everything, and I make sure it looks nice, and she's pretty good too. I mean, girl's literally falling asleep right here. As you can see, she's really just chilling. I actually do like this look. I don't know if I would ever dye like my entire dog pink, but I think it's really cute, really sweet, and it kind of gives her like a little heart shape around her face. Okay, next part is the shampoo. And not every shampoo needs diluting. In fact, the ones that you buy in store typically don't. However, I still find it easier to be able to spread around the shampoo when it is diluted. So I don't know if this actually works or not. Like I said, this girl has been getting a lot of hikes lately because she is so active in the woods. I wanted to get a flea and tick shampoo preventative. She's also on Perico Trio, which is like a flea and tick and heartworm preventative. So she doesn't really, in theory, need anything. I just want to give her a little extra protection since I know we've been going out a lot. So this is like kind of the last of the bottle. And basically, all I do is take a water bottle about yay full, pretty full up into that line, right? And I'm going to dump the rest of the soap in. But yeah, and then you just shake it up and make sure the water is warm. Dissolve the soap a little bit better, but also just, see, this dog licks me. So just shake this up. There you have it. And then since this is the end of the bottle, I'm gonna fill this up with water, just use it up. So here and here. They also make dog bars as well. So I thought that was really cool. Just a little honorable mention here. I'm not gonna do it for this just because with the dye, I like to have more liquid pushing out the loose particles in that. So yeah. All right, Yona in the tub. Good girl. For a dog bath, before doing anything, check the temperature. When bathing your dog, having a shower head on a hose will be best. Our water pressure is not very strong, so I set it to this specific setting to get down to her roots and push out all the color particles. Please be aware of your water pressure situation before picking one. Obviously, we don't want this to be a painful experience for our furry friends. Something I actually really recommend is getting in the tub with your dog versus leaning in over the edge. Being in the tub with them confines the mess to behind the curtain. I also may be anthropomorphizing a bit, but I like to think of it as a we're in this together moment. Keeping the hose closer to the body will actually help with overstimulation, and tilting their head down will help prevent water in eyes, nose, or their mouth. Rinse the dye out really well. It's okay if there's still some pink with the water, but you want to get the majority of it out. Once your dog is completely soaked, you can start using your shampoo dilution. Now normally, I recommend you wash your dog entirely in shampoo twice. Yona gets baths frequently enough that unless she's really crusty, I only do it once. However, I am going to wash the area that I dyed 2 to 3 times. You want to wash until the water runs completely clear. Keep in mind that I was using up the last of the shampoo in the bottle that I had, so I personally felt as though I didn't add enough shampoo to the dilution we made because it didn't suds up as much as I would have liked it to. That being said, Even though you may not be able to see the suds very well, I can feel that I have completely coated her body in soap. I will even brush the soap in on her face. I will do this in general, whether or not I dye her. Brushing the soap in helps get them squeaky clean and gets out the extra grease or crud they collect from being nosy. Once you have thoroughly washed your dog, rinse them off really well. Go over their entire body multiple times, making sure you get spots like their armpit, sanitary areas, cheeks, bottom of feet, and tail. Leaving soap on your dog can cause skin irritation. Once you feel you have rinsed your dog off completely, go over with your hands and make sure you don't feel any soap in their coats. Suds will often appear as bubbles and will kind of glitter in the light. Not love blow drying. You can get things called a happy hoodie. I know I need to get one for her. Please don't come at me for not having ear protection on her. This is not a normal occurrence. I worked in a groomer for 2 years, so I had a lot of things available to me that I don't really have as easily available to me at home. Remember to work with your dog and not against them. Your dog probably won't like every part of grooming, and that's totally okay. It's our job to work with them to desensitize them to things they don't like but are important to their overall health. Blow drying is really important, especially for long-haired dogs. When the hair isn't properly dried, they're more likely to get skin issues, especially in places where their skin rubs together. With Yona, I try to dry her body off as best as I can, especially in her armpits, neck, and sanitary area. This is also a really important step if you have a dog that sheds a lot. The blow dryer will push out all the loose fur that is currently in the dog's coat. Yona sheds just enough that she doesn't need full grooms, but it's long enough that it does need to properly be managed. She really does not like her face being done. Most dogs don't. I recommend taking the nozzle off the hose, lower the speed, and use a brush. The brush helps distract from the dryer and also helps prevent tangles while going through this process. You should do this with their entire body, not just their head, but because of our current situation of just having an overall small bathroom and not having a lead on her, I'm just going to brush her out really well after. Sit. Sit. Good girl. All right. Okay. So this is the final look. Like I said, her ears haven't been taking as well as she's gotten older. So that's basically it. I know a lot of people have opinions on dyeing your dog's hair, but it's just for fun. She loves the attention it brings her and really doesn't mind the hair dyeing aspect of grooming. Properly grooming your dog's hair is an important part of owning a dog, and hair dye is just a part of the grooming process for Yona. She genuinely doesn't know anything different. She enjoys spending the 1 to 2 hours bonding with me. I honestly look at grooming as an enrichment activity for you and your animal. Most dogs might have the zoomies immediately after but crash out the rest of the day. That being said, this is just a video showing you how to realistically dye your dog's hair at home, or at least how I dye my dog's hair at home. I'm sure there are plenty of reasons not to do this. It's a lot of effort. I totally understand that. And on top of that, you know, some dogs might have skin issues. But I've had great experience with it personally. The pink hair makes her more approachable to kids, and I can see this being a very large benefit to therapy dogs. She is also more recognizable and easier to ID if she ever gets loose. And finally, it makes me happy and does not bother or harm Yona in any sort of way. Please like this video because it was my first video ever and technology is not my friend. Comment below what you'd like to see next. I was thinking about maybe doing an everything shower with Yona or spa day. And finally, subscribe so you see our cute faces pop up on your feed. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everybody.